A list of privileges that P. Diddy is allowed in jail just got released.
Are they gonna make him suffer?
Judges denied Sean Diddy Combs' request to delay his trial.
A judge did approve Sean Diddy Combs' request to wear non-prison clothing to his trial.
But then there was another juror that came on the stand, or potential juror, and this juror disclosed the information that they actually work at MDC Brooklyn.
Narrator, dramatic, steady. The courtroom fell into an eerie silence. No objections. No side chatter. Just stunned silence. That was the moment prosecutors revealed what they'd uncovered in Diddy's private jail rooms that shouldn't have even existed. The judge halted proceedings. The reason? Photographic evidence of spaces inside the detention center allegedly used by Diddy to detain people against their will. These weren't rumors anymore. These were visuals. Documents. Names. What shocked the court wasn't just the existence of these rooms. It was what they contained. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on the evidence that silenced an entire courtroom and why legal experts are calling this the most explosive discovery in the Diddy case to date.
This privilege he has is a cellmate.
Do we know who this cellmate is?
Yes, the cellmate is a man named Sam Bankman-Fried. He's in federal prison for stealing billions of dollars via his cryptocurrency company called FTX. While they bunk together, they are both separated from Gen Pop.
But then there was another juror that came on the stand, or potential juror, and this juror disclosed the information that they actually work at MDC Brooklyn. Now, the issue with that is Diddy is currently locked up at MDC Brooklyn. He's been housed there since September.
So he could have got paid off. He could have got promised something, anything.
You got insider conversations.
Exactly. So the issue with that, the obvious issue with that is what you guys just said. But the bigger problem that the judge had, and he took a minute to scold both sides, the prosecutors and Diddy's team, because he's like, y'all got to do better.
How did he get this far?
Yeah, how did he get to the point where he's coming in front of the court and this is being put on record?
Honestly, they are making him suffer.
Poor guy's gonna have to shower by himself.
In terms of clothing, he's allowed one tracksuit and one pair of sneakers. So I'm assuming he switches off between his jail suit and his own personal tracksuit.
Okay, I mean, I get it.
He's not allowed any access to TV or radio, but he is allowed to have a copy of the Bible and one book per week.
Oh, okay. This might be good for him.
Yeah, he needs the Bible. He has access to 300 minutes of phone time per week. That translates to an equivalent of 5 hours per week. I feel like that's a lot of phone time.
Wait, that's a good amount.
Yeah, I mean, he has a lot of kids, so maybe they factor that in so he can have adequate time speaking to each child. But
yeah,
he's allowed one visitor each day at a specific time, and visits can only last 1 hour. But there's a specific dress code for visitors. No sunglasses or open-toed shoes, no ripped jeans. Also, if a visitor goes to the bathroom in the middle of their meeting, the visit's over. It's done. So,
after that.
Yeah. So no funny business going on.
Yikes. Use the potty before you meet P. Diddy.
No pun intended. Children under the age of 4 must remain on a visitor's lap at all times.
Narrator, intense. Building. No one expected what happened that morning when prosecutors walked into the courtroom with a sealed manila folder. The energy shifted instantly. This wasn't on the docket. It wasn't part of any scheduled filing. Even Diddy's defense team looked shaken. Then the folder reached the judge's bench. What came next? Blew the case wide open. Inside were photographs and documents detailing a secret jail cell modification that broke every protocol for how high-profile inmates are monitored. This wasn't some harmless contraband. This was a calculated operation. According to court sources, Diddy had manipulated the physical layout of his cell, creating a hidden compartment behind his bed frame. A space so discreet, routine inspections never caught it. What was in that compartment? That's where it gets dark. Prosecutors revealed what they called a makeshift command center. Inside, contraband phones, expertly waterproofed and hidden in hollowed-out hygiene bottles. These weren't burner phones, they were advanced, encrypted devices designed to dodge detection by jail security systems. Even worse? Handwritten notes, names of potential witnesses. Some marked with stars. Others listed with chillingly specific instructions. One note read, "Make sure, name redacted, understands what happens if the story changes." Another, A mock script, full dialogue prepared for a witness to recite during testimony. Guards who found the stash also reported luxury items, designer clothing folded beneath prison-issue uniforms, gourmet snacks, forbidden commissary goods. But those luxuries weren't the issue. The real threat was control. The judge called for an emergency recess. Witnesses in the room say his face had gone pale. When court resumed, his tone had changed. Sharper, less tolerant, and far more aggressive toward the defense team. But this wasn't even the worst of it. The prosecution then showed how Diddy had transformed his jail cell into something unrecognizable, not a cell, but a private suite, exposing just how far the special treatment had gone.
Has ruled that he would be a threat to intimidate witnesses and victims if released. The 17-page indictment against Combs accuses him of using employees of his business endeavors, including record labels, a recording studio, an apparel line, an alcoholic spirits company, a marketing agency, a media company, and television network to facilitate his crimes through acts that included kidnapping, arson, and bribery. If convicted on all charges, which include racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, and transporting people across state lines to engage in prostitution, Combs faces a possible sentence of decades in prison.
Sean Diddy Combs entered the courtroom in tan prison clothing and hugged an attorney. His mother and one of his sons were there, as well as a man wearing a Free Puff shirt. The judge denied the defense's motion to delay the trial by 2 months. The defense also wanted what the judge called an entire universe of documents related to one of the alleged victims who used to work for Combs. At a hearing Monday, the defense accused prosecutors of cherry-picking emails and chats related to this person, and the defense wanted all of their emails. The government said it didn't have access to all of this person's work emails, likely 200,000 of them. The judge denied the defense's request and told them they needed to point to specific items they believed weren't turned over. The judge also ruled one of the alleged victims will have to turn over drafts of their memoir, but they won't have to turn over financial documents the defense also requested.
Person questioning of prospective jurors began earlier this morning. The judge overseeing this case plans on bringing in at least 50 prospective jurors every day until a jury of 12 people and 6 alternates is formed. Even though dozens of men and women have filed civil lawsuits against Sean Diddy Combs, this criminal trial is focused on the accusations of 4 people, including his ex-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura.
The hidden community.
Narrator, with a slow, disbelieving tone. When the surprise inspection began, guards thought it was just another sweep. What they found left them speechless. Standard inmates get a thin mattress, a metal bed frame, and the bare minimum. But Diddy, he was living in what one guard described as 5-star accommodations. Prosecutors presented photos of Diddy's cell that triggered audible gasps in court. Instead of standard issue blankets, Diddy had a full memory foam setup wrapped in Egyptian cotton sheets. A luxury bedding arrangement that reportedly cost more than most correctional officers make in a week, and the upgrades didn't stop there. Folded into hidden compartments were high-end designer clothes. We're talking Balenciaga slippers, custom silk pajamas, and full wardrobes matching Diddy's court appearances. One guard testified he never once wore the standard uniform in his private cell. His toiletries, also off the books. Specialized skincare, designer cologne, and premium grooming products all banned inside the facility. While other inmates used generic bar soap, Diddy maintained a full celebrity skincare regimen behind bars. Then came the food: fresh fruit, protein bars, premium coffee blends, prepared meals that shouldn't have made it past the gate, all discovered tucked into hidden spaces throughout the cell. But what truly disturbed investigators? The How .7 prison employees are now under investigation for accepting bribes. Surveillance footage showed guards delivering uninspected packages straight to Diddy's door. Some falsified inventory records. Others covered for one another. The money trail? Eye-opening. Over $50,000 in payments, disguised as consulting fees and personal loans, traced back to correctional officers. One guard allegedly received $5,000 for sneaking in a designer mattress after hours. This wasn't a few small favors. This was a full-blown corruption network, turning a jail cell into a luxury suite. But that's not all they found. Hidden beneath the decadence, buried under luxury, were the tools Diddy allegedly used to control witnesses and orchestrate operations from behind bars. And according to the prosecution, the real story was just beginning.
Yeah, Stephanie, I think the defense is going to look for people who are open to non-traditional lifestyles, who can receive evidence of what defense will sort of style as sex, drugs, and rock and roll, and not get put off and not rush to judgment. On the flip side, the prosecution is going to be looking for folks who are not going to be distracted by, the new shiny object over here, who are not going to get off course by any kind of circus the Diddy team may try to bring into this trial.
So, I mean, this has garnered much media attention. How does that factor in when it comes to selecting a jury? Because no doubt most people have heard of what is going on.
Totally. So it presents a significant problem. Here's the thing. The judge wants to find jurors who are fair and impartial and who have not already developed an opinion as to Diddy's guilt or innocence. Well, that's hard when every media outlet in the world has covered this case. They've likely already heard about it. And so what the judge is going to have to do is determine how much exposure the potential jurors have had to this Diddy saga and whether they can put that aside and simply base their verdict on what happens inside that courtroom and not everything that has gone on preceding that.
Narrator, serious, measured tone. When most inmates enter prison, their world hits pause. Their businesses stall. Their power fades. But not Diddy. According to prosecutors, his empire didn't skip a beat. In fact, it may have grown stronger. Sound effect, rustling papers, courtroom ambience. The judge's face said it all: confusion, then shock, then something else, disbelief. Laid out before the court was proof of a secret communication network that Diddy allegedly built from behind bars. Not one hidden phone, 3 unauthorized tablets. Devices hidden inside hollowed-out chess pieces, false-bottom Bibles, and ordinary prison items. An entire tech hub, hidden in plain sight, SFX, electronic pinging, static crackling. What investigators found on those devices went beyond casual chats. Thousands of messages, to business partners, to marketing executives, to his financial team. Voice actor, reading message, cool and calculated, push the vodka rollout back to Q3. Merge funds into offshore account by Friday. Don't announce until I say. Narrator, Diddy was making deals. Moving millions. Approving campaigns. All from a cell. Court records showed over $35 million in transactions authorized while incarcerated, including the launch of a new product line and the restructuring of one of his companies. He wasn't a prisoner. He was a CEO in solitary, music shift, rising tension, and these weren't just burner phones. The court heard how each device ran encrypted apps that wiped messages, disguised business talks as Bible study, and used language codes known only to his team. Legal consultation privileges, twisted into cover for corporate strategy meetings. The prosecution even played recordings, Diddy discussing profit margins while his silent attorney sat by, shielding the call from prison monitors. Pause, then ominous tone, but business wasn't the only thing on those devices. Buried among branding updates and financial orders were messages about the people set to testify against him. Names, details, warnings. What started as a story about control just took a dark turn.
He's also going to allow in outtakes from a documentary called The Fall of Diddy, of potential witnesses in this case. And then a lot of today's discussion today, Lindsay, was about victim anonymity. There are 3 alleged victims who the government wants to testify, and they want them to testify under pseudonyms. The defense has agreed about one of them, known as victim number 2, but the 2 others, they want their names revealed in court. So the judge has now said that those 3 victims will testify anonymously. The other thing that they discussed for quite a while was expert testimony. There are experts that the government and defense want to bring in to speak to what can happen when a victim has allegedly been sexually abused. And the judge thought the key point was that you can't infer just because someone stayed in a relationship or didn't talk about abuse sooner.
Narrator, think jail visitation means talking through glass with a scratchy phone? Not in Diddy's world. In court, prosecutors revealed a visitor log that read more like a VIP guest list than a correctional facility record. Sound effect, courtroom gasp, paper shuffling, dozens of unapproved visits. Celebrity names. Top producers. Music moguls. None of them properly vetted. Some never even logged at all. SFX. Security door buzzing open. The footage was damning. Private rooms, off-limits to other inmates, were cleared for secret meetings. Packages were hand-delivered, never searched. And the visitor logs. Falsified, celebrities listed as cousins, business partners logged as legal counsel. Voice actor. Confession tone: I got paid $2,000 per visit. One guard admitted to walk them in through the back door and change the paperwork. Narrator. But these weren't just social calls. Prosecutors say these visits formed the backbone of Diddy's underground communication network. Messages came in. Orders went out. Multiple visitors were linked to witnesses in the case. One, a former lover of a key witness. Another, still in business with someone scheduled to testify. SFX. Ticking clock, phone ringing in background, the dots began to connect. After one visit, a witness received 5 phone calls from that same VIP within hours. It was clear Diddy wasn't just staying connected. He was reaching into the very heart of the case against him. And what prosecutors found next made it impossible to ignore.
The judge denied this immediately when we got into court today. What he said to Combs' attorneys is, for one, this request came very last minute. This trial is supposed to start in weeks. We're supposed to begin jury selection soon, and that he thinks that they have sufficient time to prepare. He even made the point, Lindsay, that it's unclear to him why Combs can't prepare when he has 4 different law firms working on his case. A few other things that the judge said today is he's going to allow in drafts of a memoir that was written by one of the victims. However, the defense had also wanted her diaries and bank statements. The judge is not going to allow that.
Narrator. During a surprise inspection, guards lifted Diddy's mattress and found what prosecutors now call the key to the entire case. SFX. Zip of leather opening, slow music shift to dark suspense, a black leather notebook. Not prison issue. Not listed in any inventory. Pause. Inside? Pages. Handwritten. Detailed. Happens to people who talk. Visit the gym on Tuesday. Mention the NDA. Narrator. Names. Addresses. School schedules for witnesses' children. License plate numbers. Employment info. Family members tracked. The level of detail was disturbing. And prosecutors say Diddy should never have had access to any of it. Some entries were like checklists, check marks beside compliant witnesses. Question marks next to those who hadn't cracked yet. A handwritten system for applying pressure, sometimes subtle, sometimes explicit, sound effect. Judge's gavel slamming down, the judge was visibly shaken. All privileges revoked. Visitors banned, except legal counsel. Private calls over. And with that, the case shifted. This wasn't just about luxury in prison anymore. This was now about a criminal operation from behind bars, new charges, witness tampering and obstruction of justice. If convicted, Diddy isn't just looking at more time. He's facing decades. Final tone, dramatic fade out. What began as a case about power has become something much darker.